ready to do an abstract floral using a watercolor block pad, 5.3 by 7.6. So the edges are going to be cropped off a little bit, so I'm going to try to stay within. I sprayed it down with clean water, just spreading out that water with the clean brush. I make it kind of damp but not dripping. It's just got a sheen to it. Try to make it a little bit even. I'm going to try to do like peach, orange. So I have my paints all damp and ready to go, and I'm just going to kind of drop it in randomly. Right? Random is hard. Lots of wet. Again, staying away from the edges for the most part. I have a dry paper towel in my hand. The used one is kind of nice because it's already got some texture to it, and it makes a more random pattern when you dab. So, see. Nice even coating, kind of. I'm going to add in some yellow ochre, make it a little more golden. And as the paper dries, the paint moves a little less. Now, I'm going to jazz it up with some orange of your choice. Although I am muting that down with a little bit of random blue and green that I have on my palette, just to take it down a notch. I'm actually going to tap this to help with randomness. Alright, that's a little too muted for me. I want it a little brighter, so I'm just going to go grab the color the way it was in the palette. See if it's brighter. And then I'm going to, again, just random go in there. And I'm trying to keep an even distribution of the color as well as the saturation. So this color is less saturated. This is more saturated. I had more paint on the brush. More paint than water. Okay, I definitely want to make that more flowery. I'm gonna go back in now that the canvas, the paper is a little drier, with the Jaune, J-A-U-N-E. I guess it's French. I don't know. I think it means like flesh tone. And you can see that color again is more saturated because there's less water in it. Wear a smock. You'll get this all over your clothes and all over the table. I'm going to try to soften up some of these just by adding a little bit of water and spreading it. I don't like the line so much. This is supposed to be a floral, right? If you like the lines, you keep just spreading it out. Now, I want to go in add. So I chose two analogous colors. They're close to each other on a color wheel. I'm going to eventually go in here and put in a complementary color. So since it's a floral, I'm going to go with like a green, somewhere green-ish. But when you mix complementary colors, they make brown. So I'm going to, with my dry paper towel, just dab off some areas to make the white paper show through, so that when I put the green down, it doesn't mix. Once it's dry, it won't mix as much, but it still will. It still will mix. And then I have this spot on the edge here that I'm going to try to pick up. A little wet it. I'm just lighten it up. Might pick it up. Don't know why I have all these things in my hand. Okay, clean up the edges a little. And I think I'm just going to go for another splash of the yellow ochre. That's that golden color. So it's not too wet. I want to get it a little bit concentrated. There we go. And because the paper is drier now, it's not spreading. Got paint in my mouth. And so with a clean brush, just softening those dots, spreading them out a little bit. Now I'm going to wait for that to dry a little bit before I go and put in my green color. So we'll pause. So for reference, I was using Holbein Jaune Brilliant number 2 for that peachy color. I have Winsor Newton Raw Sienna, and then the Liquitex Yellow Ochre, that's the golden color, and Liquitex Cadmium Red Medium is the orange. Just for reference, I don't stick to one brand. Now that this is a little drier, I'm going to go in with Holbein Cadmium Green Pale. It's a nice, light, bright green. Now the paper is a little bit dry. I'm going to spray a little. And going in where these areas have white, too much water on that brush. Trying to be random-ish about it, but since I'm looking for the white areas, it's kind of automatically a little bit random. And kind of looking at using the rule of 3. You just don't want to have like one little leaf sticking out there. Every once in a while you can, but in nature they're usually kind of clumped together. Yeah, it's abstract, but not, I guess. I'd like to put a couple, and I'm trying to keep that green color kind of evenly dispersed, so there's no green in this area. So I'm going to try to lighten this up a little bit so that I can add some. I want my composition to be a little balanced. far as color distribution, color saturation. That's probably more green than I really need. But you can see where I lay it over the orange, it gets kind of brown. So try to stay away from putting your complementary colors on top of each other. And like Bob Ross, a happy little leaf over here. And then I think we're ready to either leave it as it is, or, as I am inclined to do, jazz it up with some ink and define it more. And the last step is to take it off the block, or if you had it taped down somewhere. If you've not used a block before, there's usually one spot on the block that has a gap in the tape. Sometimes it's on the corner, sometimes it's on the top. And usually I like to mark it on the pad so I can find it easily. And you just stick your palette knife, or use your kitchen knife, and just go around and glue it off. And you'll have to get all that glue off around the edges at some point, but don't take it off if it's soaking wet, because it'll warp too much. But this is dry enough that it'll be fine. That's it until the next stop. Okay, here's phase 2 of my abstract floral doodly things. You can either use just normal fine Sharpie or the Micron 05. You can go with an 01 if you want. I like the thicker lines. I'll just use a Sharpie because most people will have a Sharpie on hand. And just looking at some other ones, I can see kind of where there's a flower shape, and I'm gonna start with those areas. These are kind of smaller. This one I'd really have to use some imagination. But here I think, let's see, I see like a flower here, kind of. I like to just find the center and just go around it and make petals. It doesn't matter if you stay within the color or not. Try, get close. And then I like to, and I'm being like shaky handed about it. I'm not making very smooth, precise lines. I'm doing that on purpose. And then I go over the line again, but not exactly in the same spot. And that lets me kind of even out where I had one that was too small or one that was too big. And it gives it that little shaky, wobbly look. I can see I have kind of like a leaf here, and notice I didn't color inside the lines. I got a star in school when I was like in kindergarten for cutting out a perfect circle and coloring inside the lines. That's not what we're doing here. So I'm just taking those green areas and again, scribbling kind of. And that's my idea of a leaf today. Here's another leaf. And you can practice that shape on another piece of paper. Go find another area that's kind of just all of your flower-ish color. This one I'm gonna just say, oh well, this big orange area can be the center. This is going to be a bigger flower. And I'm going to kind of, well, I'll do this leaf since it's there. Keep myself away. So I'm going to draw this flower kind of behind those leaves. I'll start. That's a big one. There's some more leaves in the way. I'm drawing them first so I know to keep my petal out of the way of that. See, I went behind it. This one, I'm going to say there's 3 petals here. Let's just, for argument's sake, we'll just imagine there's 3 petals here. And another one here. And again, going back over it, this one, these were a little longer, so I'm coming inside with my outline. And just using the second pass to straighten it out a little bit. Throw in my leaves. Really not thinking too hard about it. I see another bit of a flower kind of here, but I got a lot of green in the way, so let me take care of some leaves. I'll make a flower here. And it's behind there. Again, go over it a second time, straighten it out, wobbly. A little more, another leaf in there. And I'm gonna go find another one over here. This is really random. I'm gonna do my leaf that's in the way first. Oh, could you hear that? That's my neighbor with a very loud Mustang. And another leaf here. Okay, so here's my flower. You can kind of, if you want, you can mark off where you think your petals would be so you get them even. I don't usually do that. I just go for it. Again, I'm going behind that leaf and then going over it again, and I kind of even them out then. Ta-da. Now, once that's all done, I like to go in between, fill the spaces in between with just like, I don't know, circles. You can, I don't know if you want to imagine they're buds or just dispersed light, kind of going in, filling in these areas in between. You can leave those spaces in between if you like. Oh, I forgot to go kind of around that a second time. Some more leaves. Might as well do the leaves while I see them. They're just jumping out at me. Sometimes those are really clear. These are pretty clear. This one, I would wait until the end to figure out where my open spaces are for the leaves because it's not really defined. For these guys, I did a good job. And just practice that oval shape on a separate piece of paper before you do it. And your hand will get used to that. you can make rounder leaves. Some leaves are like, you know, roundish teardrop. Find what you like. If I figure out how to edit a video someday, I'll speed this up. I will pause now and fill in some other random areas with flowers and come back later. Don't be afraid to turn your paper around. I can imagine there's stems in there. It won't. Bigger circles take you less time. Just saying. You can fill it in with little tiny things or big things. Leave some space open. You don't have to fill the whole thing in. This leaf looks a little naked out there. I'm going to just make one up. Even though there's no green there, it's okay. Throw more in there. I like it. You can put more in the center of the flower. You could fill those in with dots, but I think I'm all kind of circled out on this one. I want to leave some. I'm kind of sticking them in the nooks and crannies in between, like where a bubble might sit if it was in water. Bubbles kind of form in between the spaces. Like in there. And just connecting everything so it flows. And kind of gets it coherent. Like there's a big gap here. What do I want to do? Either add some leaves, stick in another flower, something, but it looks separate. So I'm going to do something to fill in this space. I don't know what. Well, I'm sticking a leaf for sure, and some circles. But I like this space in here. This may be right here, add something. And you can always go back in with the paint. You say, oh, well, they're supposed to be leaves. I want them to be green. Just lightly. Make them green. Just a little bit. Just a little bit of color to define it more as a leaf. Of course, you can also go back into your flowers if you want to. Just be careful not to saturate the color, but adding that in there. Darken it up around the center, and then kind of soften that. Wrong brush. We're using the wrong brush. I don't want that to be a little hard edge. I want it to look like it was there from the beginning. And then another thing I like to do with my petals is kind of go, make it look like there's a fold in there. And again, trying not to do the same thing on each one. Try to make it look random. Just a scribbly. And it makes it look a little more three-dimensional. Of course, I'm not going to ink there. This ink will bleed a little bit if you put it on wet paper. Some markers don't do that so much. You can always also go in with, you do this with gold, a gold pen or a white pen. Speaking of a white pen, let's go do some white. So I have a Jelly Roll 10. One of my favorites, but they're a little temperamental. I kind of have to keep them flowing. The Uniball Signo is really kind of my favorite one. It really seems to flow, and you just kind of have to have a scrap paper nearby to bang it and clear it. But I just like to put in a little highlight. I am not using perspective to say, oh, I'm not choosing where there's a light source, you know, because this is fictitious. I normally, as you can see the shadow, my light source is coming from this side, so I would want all of my highlights on this side of every flower. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just kind of going around it and this is really on the wrong, technically the wrong side. You can put highlights in the little balls. You can put highlights in the leaf. Hopefully that's coming out on the camera. And again, you can also use acrylic. More Posca. Posca makes, this is an acrylic, but then, you know, it's paint. It's acrylic paint. And you already have a mixed media thing. This is not a pure watercolor. If you're watercolor purist. This is frowned upon, but I'm just doing it because I like it. I don't care to call it specifically watercolor. Okay, just highlights this guy. I was waiting for that to dry before I put in the marker. That's it. I'll come back when it's done. And just about finished. Sticking a couple more things in there. And comment, let me know what you think about my video, my first video. I'll get better, get some better lighting. Maybe put some music in, I don't know. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye. Don't forget to sign it. Happy trails.